so today we're going to talk about one of the weirdest questions that I've ever been asked. Matter of fact, I thought the person was absolutely crazy. They said, is buying land on Mars a good investment? My first reaction was, oh, there are just so many weirdos out there. But what the hell? So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the fundamentals of a good investment and why the hell not use Mars as that example. And at the end of this video, we're going to go over the 3 fundamentals of what makes a really good investment. But first, let's get right to it. I'm Chris Naugle, and I want to teach you how to become your own bank, even if that means buying land on Mars. Mars. Now, can you actually invest in Mars? The short answer is probably no, because you'll be dead by the time that investment ever pays you anything. But let's just say that there's a chance. You remember the movie Dumb and Dumber? When he asked her, he said, what's the chance of a gal like you and a guy like me getting together? She looks at him very seriously and says, about 1 in a million. And he says, you're saying there's a chance. So there might just be a chance that Mars is a good investment. Let's dive in. The first point I'd like to bring up, I want you to go back in time and I want you to think about this. What if you were one of the original settlers of the United States of America? That would be an equal equivalent to what we're talking about, right? If you were one of those original people, you wouldn't have gotten rich, even if they gave you hundreds of thousands of acres. It would have done nothing except for a whole bunch of land that you got to cultivate. But what would that be today? Literally, let's think about that. What would the legacy have been if you had that land when it was initially founded? Well, the legacy would be exactly what you think. Your family would have a different lifestyle generation after generation. And it doesn't matter what they did with that land because the land would have had value. And as time went on, as things developed, that land would have become more and more valuable. Think about it today. I'm out here in Salt Lake City. Land out here was worthless pretty much back in the day. Nobody wanted to live in the desert that got snow. But now, my gosh, I don't even know what land costs out here, but it's a lot. So my point is, just because the land today on Mars might not be seen as valuable, in the future, long after you're gone, it might be the most valuable land on, I almost said on Earth, but it's crazy, we're talking about Mars, might be the most valuable thing you could ever do. I mean, think about it. Let's just say something, hey, I don't want to try to predict the future, but something happens and Earth isn't habitable. But all of a sudden, you got some land on Mars. You just hop a taxi from Earth to Mars, and now you've got something that's worth a lot because everybody will want what you have. Well, the same thing is true for just about anything. When you buy something or invest in something that even to others might seem worthless, let's just say you bought the domain for Google back before Google was ever a thing. You didn't know that was going to be something. Now it was worth a lot of money when Google bought it from you. There's so many ways you can parallel that back and think about things that even 5 years ago were worthless that today are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So land on Mars? Sure. Could be worth a whole bunch. Let's talk about something that's near and dear to me. Planting a seed. You all know what an acorn seed is, right? I knew a guy that had an acorn seed that sat on his desk. I have no idea why he had an acorn seed on his desk, but one day I asked him, I said, so why do you have this seed on your desk? And he began the story to explain because this seed is a lot like the people that I meet that come in. They have big ambitions. They want to do massive things. They want to be huge, but they never take the first step. You see, an acorn seed can sit on a desk for hundreds of years, and it will always remain a seed. But if you take that acorn seed and you add one step, you plant it in soil, and then you cultivate it, you water it, you show it sun, what happens in time? That acorn seed sprouts, and it becomes the early stages of being an oak tree. When you plant an oak tree, you have to understand that there's a very strong probability that you'll never sit in the shade of that tree, but your kids will, and their kids will, and their kids and kids and kids will. You are creating a legacy. The acorn seed by itself, worthless. The oak tree, long after you're gone, is worth a lot of money. Whether it's harvested for lumber, or whether it just provides a beautiful shade for someone that's hot. Think about that story. Land on Mars today might be viewed as worthless, just like that acorn. But someday, if you plant that seed and you cultivate it, it could be one of the most valuable things, but it's not going to be the most valuable thing to you. It's going to be your legacy. It's going to be what people remember you for. And remember this, people plant trees all the time knowing that they're never going to sit in the shade of that tree. I got one more for you. Any of you ever seen bamboo? I'm sure you've seen the things that they make out of bamboo, but you understand that if you plant bamboo, you plant a bamboo seed or a little sprout, it takes years for bamboo to grow. You could plant that bamboo and sit there and wait and, oh, I know it's going to start coming up, and nothing. Year after year after year, nothing. But then all of a sudden, it sprouts. And you know that bamboo is a weed, right? My old house, I had bamboo in my backyard. It takes over. It grows so fast, but it took years of waiting for that to happen. So when you think of Mars, and is Mars a good investment? I have no idea where they came up with this crazy idea, but maybe it's not so crazy at all. You know, it's the crazy ones that change the future. So maybe this is actually a really good question. So is Mars a good investment for the future? Well, let's focus on the fundamentals of what makes a good investment. The first thing I always like to talk about is the laws of wealth. So let me just hit those for you really quick. There's 6 laws of wealth, but we're really going to focus on 3 when it comes to the fundamentals of a good investment. Law number 1 of wealth. You must save 10% of the money you make. I always like to say you have to pay yourself first. Law number 2, once you master the first law, which is saving 10%, that money that you've saved has to go to work for you. Your whole life, people are going to try to tell you that you have to work for money, you have to hustle, you have to go out and punch the clock, trade hours for dollars, but your hours are the only thing that is priceless. So if your hours are priceless, why would you continue to trade them for money? Money, you can always make more of it, but hours, you have so few of. So the second law of wealth is you got to change the way you think about money, and money must go to work for you. And money working for you is what will set you free. Because what are we all really working for? Is it a lot of money? No. Money creates freedom. Third law of wealth, and probably one of the most important ones, protect your wealth. This is where I want to start, is one of the fundamentals. You want to buy land on Mars. Well, the first thing you should do is protect your wealth by understanding land on Mars. Become an expert. Know, like, and understand what you're investing in. Because if you're just buying land on Mars because the taxi driver or the Uber driver told you to, you're making a huge mistake. Never invest in things that you don't know, like, and understand. Become an expert in what you invest in. I mean, there's other people like Warren Buffett. He's an expert in every company he invests in. So you want to make a lot of money with Mars, or at least set the stage for the future generations? Start learning. Teach me why we should invest in Mars. Another fundamental about a good investment is when you invest in something, that something that you invest in should produce a return. That return can come in the form of profits, dividends, interest, whatever it is. It has to yield something that doesn't require you trading hours for dollars. It has to work for you. If you're going to invest in Mars, how is Mars going to pay you? What's the return on that investment? Now, this is going to be different for each one of you, because some of you don't need an investment in your lifetime. Therefore, the investment is your legacy. For others, you need to make money on it. So the best way, if you buy land on Mars, if that's even a thing, then why don't you teach other people what you learned? Teach them and show them why this is a fundamentally strong investment. Why other people should do this. You could probably make millions, billions of dollars teaching people how to invest in Mars, because nobody really knows this. So you might just be onto something. But again, how is it going to pay you without you working? So one of the other laws of wealth is don't seek unrealistic returns, or your money will flee you. Clearly, Mars could be a good investment, but if you think it's going to go to the moon, no pun intended, then you're probably being somewhat unrealistic. And all I know is that everybody that gets greedy and seeks unrealistic returns faces the one fact of their money leaves them, their money flees them. Don't allow that to happen. Another one of the laws is a simple one: solve other people's problems. By buying land on Mars, you are really solving a big problem because someday this Earth, where we live, may not be habitable. So by you taking this first step, you're solving a big future problem. And the very last thing, the final and most important law of wealth, is legacy. What are people going to remember you for when you're gone? Because it's not going to be the car in the garage or the money in the bank. But I think they'd probably remember that you bought land on Mars when everybody said you were crazy. Because now everybody is taking that ship to Mars because we can't live here anymore. What a legacy that would be. So these are the 6 laws of wealth. If you like this video, you're going to want to check this one out. What in the world is going on? There's a recession inbound. The storm is here. So check that video out. And if you like that one, make sure you subscribe to this channel. And while you're at it, why don't you smash that little alerts button right up top so that you're notified every single time I put a new video out. Because hey, you might want land on Mars as well. I think I do. What the heck? See you next time.